Well, we ask better questions, we get better answers. So, David Sinclair and his team out of Harvard back a couple of years ago said, wait a minute. Everybody's saying the silver tsunami is coming and we're going to be in economic crisis and collapse. Yes, the population is changing. Yes, there's a lot of opportunity for improvement in our sick care model, 100%. Yet, the river only flows one way. So, do we want to be always fighting against the current, which is pretty exhausting? Or is there another alternative of how we can show up and serve the people out there that do want and need to heal? But there's so much more. There's a whole other half of that continuum that we don't even talk about. So instead of just saying there's a cost to sickness, maybe the better question is there value to aging? Meaning there's a cost to sickness, there's a cost to aging when we have the last decade as a gap, right? A last decade of sickness. But what if we could compress that morbidity window? What if we didn't have to spend 10 years in decline and sickness? What if we could actually have more of that? What if we could have the whole last decade still in a healthy, thriving state? Could there actually be value in aging? Could there be value in closing that gap between health span and lifespan? And the answer is yes. Now, this is the paradigm shift. And I really want you to appreciate this because where we are about to go is so incredibly so incredibly important. And this is why longevity leaders like you are needed. This is why this program is here. This is what's going to set you apart in the industry beyond anybody else because you're getting a front row seat of understanding the value and the opportunity and how to meet it and how to deliver it. Here's the deal. For every 1 year that we can keep people healthy, so instead of health span stopping at 66, we can take it to 67. Just one extra year. For every person, we can give one extra year. We could do that for everybody here in the US. We can infuse $38 trillion back into the economy. Into the economy, not a drain on the economy, into the economy. Imagine what that could be like. All we ever hear on the news and everything is about the debt, the debt, the debt. What if all of a sudden there's gain, there's gain, there's gain? There's literally abundance coming into our economy. This is why longevity is the fastest growing industry. We sit at a unique time that we can seize the opportunities. This is why, for the last decade, venture capitalists have been actively building longevity brands and companies and doing research and bringing new molecules and technologies to market because they could see the opportunity. They can see the changes in the population. They can see the need. They can see the cost, but they can also see the gain. And why this matters so much is because there's so much more. Let's go back. Look at this. There's so much more money to be made by extending health than sickness. Do you get that? There's so much more money to be made by extending health than sickness. It's a massive opportunity. It's literally shifting pharma, food, the future of medicine. And we're going to explain why as we go through the rest of this introductory module. So right now, our current health span, okay, how many years healthy? Tops out at about 66. Current average lifespan, it was 78. We're down to 74 after all the pandemic shenanigans. So we're now at about 74. Okay, still longer than any other time in human history. So we are still living longer. We're not living better because that last decade is of sickness and disease. Okay. Our current life expectancy, so just without any interventions, without really knowing the science of longevity, without knowing how to truly support cellular health and healing and how to slow down the rate and pace of aging intelligently, just with kind of the way it is, we know the current longest human life expectancy has been touted at about 122 years. So if we did nothing different, we have 43 years of opportunity as individuals to live more vibrant, rich, abundant, meaningful lives. As a global economy, we have 43 more years at 38 trillion a year infused into the economy that's going to compound and grow and grow. A decade is $377 trillion. Massive, massive, massive wealth, massive creation, massive contribution, massive human experience gets to unfold. This is the industry of longevity. And it's not just about treating somebody in your office. Longevity is legacy. Longevity is how we're living, how long we're living, how well we're living. Not just today, but what we do today affects and impacts generations to come. So you, my friend, being here inside of this course, you can have more. You're allowed to keep doing exactly what you've been doing. But now you get to actually be excited to know that more is possible for you and the patients you serve. I'm inviting you to begin to expand your own field of possibility, your own vision for what is possible, your own vision to say, well, what could it all mean for me? What could it mean for my clients, for my community, for my family? If I were living better, longer, what would I want to do more of? What would I want to do less of? How would I want to spend my energy, my time, my vitality? If my patients could live longer, better, doing what they love, with the people they love for as long as they choose, what would they want to be doing more of? Times it's the little things, right? We want to be with our friends, our family. We want to have experiences. We want to stay active and mobile. We want to laugh. We want to play. We want to eat great food. We want to have great sex. We want to have beautiful, rich conversations. We want to travel. We want to see things. We want to take in life. And you now sit in a moment where you can facilitate that in small and large ways. So as you go through the program, we are going to show you from a very simple one step, one product introduction all the way into complete optimization longevity programs, how you can begin to offer more to the clients you serve. So longevity truly is paradigm shift in healthcare, and why things are so different. You being here inside of this program is going to give you the competitive advantage that exists nowhere else. Because yes, in the integrative health and wellness space, we do talk about the wheel of wellness. We do talk about lifestyle. We talk about these different elements, even in functional medicine. However, the understanding, it's kind of like everything is compartmentalized, right? Everywhere you go, the idea is that we are pieces and parts, and there's parts of our life. And the reality is life is so dynamic. And the longevity system that we're teaching is going to show you how you cycle, how you stack, how you move in and out of integrating lifestyle, molecules, biohacking and regenerative therapies and technologies. How we build, how we enhance, how we heal, how we amplify our own capacity. Because the human system is designed, innately designed at a genetic level to thrive and flourish forward. Our DNA, the very number one job of the human system is to keep you alive, and not just alive and surviving, but to keep you alive and thriving. It's about expanding and growing forward. We innately want to live, okay, by design. And so when we give the body what it needs, and less of what it doesn't need, and we understand how to do that with lifestyle and with molecules and technology, then we actually move the needle, slow down, we stop, and we even reverse the rate and pace of biological aging. So how do we begin? How do we begin? We're going to, really be weaving the system for you. We're going to help to reinforce a very step simple kind of mental mantra of how you approach every client interaction. But step number one in a client-centered journey is to understand you're going to meet people where they're at. And yes, right now we have a lot of sick people, and that's okay. It's okay. It's important for you, however, to look at them differently. You don't have to feel sorry for them. We are all sovereign. We all get to know better. We all get to do better. You don't have to take responsibility for them. And they're not broken. So you don't have to fix them. Okay. What you get to do is to meet them where they're at and understand that, step number one is to truly move their system back into homeostasis. And the first foundational phase of any type of healthcare model, is really understanding what, if anything, is overloading the system that we would need to reduce and remove. What, if anything, is missing from the system that we need to replace and replenish so that we can get the system doing what it is innately designed to do, which is to function in a healthy, homeostatic state. Okay? The system knows what to do. We just need to clear the interference. We're not smarter than it. The human body is the most advanced technology to ever exist. We just get to help be the guide, the Sherpa along the way, to help them to see what they cannot see, to support them where they haven't been able to support themselves, to do some very simple things. Okay. So that's what is step number one. And as we begin to move them to homeostasis, then we get to go into all the really cool optimization stuff, but we meet them where they're at. And for all of us, we're aging. Some of us faster, some of us slower. Aging begins the moment we are conceived because it is a natural metabolic process. It occurs at the cellular level. It's a progressive process that occurs due to damage in the cell. So the cell, and we'll talk about this in the next lesson, it's the basic unit of life. And then what that cell does is it makes energy and it uses energy. It makes and it uses, it builds up and it tears down. So aging, okay, so growth is making more. We need to make, so when we're born, we're making tissue, we're making organs, we're making systems, we're making a human body. As we're in our first 20, 25 years of life, we're growing, we're making bone, we're making tissue, we're repairing, like we're actively growing until about the age of 25, right? So all of this growth creates a lot of cell proliferation. And every time there's cell growth, there's cell activation, there's always build up and breakdown. Okay, there's always breaks every day, hundreds of thousands of breaks in our DNA, but this cycle is always occurring. Aging occurs the moment we're conceived. It's not just relegated to later in chronological years. So let's take a moment and define something. There is chronological age, how many candles are on the birthday cake, how many rotations around the sun, and there's biological age. And we'll go deeper into this in upcoming lessons, but biological age is the pace and the rate of how your different organs and systems are aging. So there's clocks in every cell of the body. We have aging clocks in all of these different systems, and some systems are on more than others. They're working harder than others. They are aging faster than others. Okay. So we think that there's just kind of one global number, and we will talk about aging clocks and testing and looking at these markers as we go into the course. So hang tight, it's coming. So we do have a way that we can quantify this process, and it's becoming more intelligent, sophisticated, and accurate every single day. It's rapidly improving in the industry. So it's this idea that as the damage accumulates at a cellular level, as this metabolic aging process of build up and tear down, when we cannot keep up with the repairs, so we have more damage accumulating than repairs going on. Now things are getting backlogged. Okay, so think about a real simple work analogy. You have more work coming in and not enough employees to keep up with it. Things start to backlog, right? All of a sudden you've got ticked off clients, you're missing deadlines, you're missing contracts, like things start to break down. So when we have more demands on the system, more need to respond, to build, to repair, but we can't keep up with it, then we break down faster. And the faster we break down, the faster we go into dysfunction, the faster we go into disease. So aging over time accumulates because more and more natural demands come into life. We're putting more demands on our system, right? Different types. And we'll talk about these in the upcoming modules. So what's really important is that we understand now that aging correlates with every chronic disease, and aging is kind of the root expression. So maybe, let's go back. Maybe the root cause of all of it is aging. Hear what I just said. The root cause of it is this aging process. So maybe these disease processes, these chronic disease processes, to be more accurate, are really an expression or a symptom, if you will, of aging. So when all this breakdown starts to occur, when we have all of a sudden diabetes, when all of a sudden we're having strokes, well, that's pretty indicative. We have all this autoimmune. That's pretty indicative that we have a lot of dysregulation. A lot of things aren't working right in the system. So, is there a way that we can slow this down and stop and even reverse this process? Well, in 2019, this was the first human age reversal study that was done. And what's so important about this study, the TRIM study, the thymus regeneration, immunorestoration, and insulin mitigation trial, it was done between 2015 and 2017 to investigate the possibility of thymus regeneration and a reversion of immunosenescent trends in healthy aging men while minimizing the side effects and any possible risk. Let me just take a moment. We will talk more about this when we get into the systems. Your thymus gland begins to involute, starts to shrink, becomes less functional. It sits right here in your chest, right behind your sternum. And this gland is really important because it modulates the immune system. Th1, Th2, super, super important. And of course, when we need it the most, as more life demands accumulate over time, as more aging occurs, as the more, inflammatory responses going on, well, we really need our immune system to be on point, but it's going off the rails because it's like that gland is just shutting down. It's going quiet. Now it's still there. It's just not putting out as much. It's not responding as much. And so the idea is like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is a really important gland. Can we help it to regenerate? Can we help it to at least be supported so it can stay functional and not decrease function? That's a fundamental component that continuously is looked at and supported in any type of longevity protocol, just FYI. And we'll come back to that in future lessons. But here's why this was so significant. Because this 12-month protocol, which was a really basic protocol, yes, there were flaws to the study. Yes, we have seen so many more favorable outcomes since then. But it used a growth hormone, DHEA, and metformin. Okay. And it was really looking at the response of cortisol and, really around cortisol and insulin is kind of what it came down to. And the result was that they showed on average a 2.5 year biological age reversal. This was the first time. This was the first time that they were able to show, wait, biologically, so chronologically, they're 60, and biologically, let's just keep it real simple because I don't really know the numbers off the top of my head, but biologically, they were also 60. But after 12 months, we were able to get them to 57 and a half. Why is this significant? Because when we can slow the pace of aging, this is when we start to extend health span. This is that very phenomena that enables us to close the gap. To slow the rate and pace of aging is to slow the rate and pace disease. You see why this is so important? So again, think of it this way. You got sick people coming in, meet them where they're at, but know that so much more is possible for them. We no longer have to accept an outdated vision or belief. We are no longer, this is, you look over here, this is what many people think of aging, right? If I ask you to think, like come up with a vision, what does aging mean to you? You probably see a lot of this in your mind. A lot of wheelchairs and walkers and canes and gray hair and a lot of wrinkles and a lot of, increase in weight, increase in lack of mobility and activity, a lot of sedentary behavior, we that's just kind of part of it. That's how we've been conditioned. That's what it has always been. But That is not how it needs to continue to be, because this was at a time when we didn't know. We didn't know that the rate and pace of aging drives breakdown dysfunction and leads to disease. We didn't know that at a cellular level, we can slow this down. We can start to reverse the aging process. We can live longer better. We can look better. We can feel better. We can perform better. And aging becomes optional. Optional. We don't have to do it the way it's been done. I really want you to hold this in your heart. It's optional. We don't have to do it that way anymore. I'd rather be doing it this way. I don't know about you, right? Like, I mean, look at her. She's 76. I think he was 74 is what it said. I mean, look at this man. Look at this woman. I don't know about you, but when I'm in my 70s, I want to be fabulous. I absolutely intend to be incredibly fabulous. I want to continue to look my best and feel my best and love the body I'm in, love the life I'm living, because I think it's pretty darn good. And it can only get better and better and better when we show up in our best every day. But this isn't something that you just want for you or I just want for me. This is something that we can all have. This is what longevity solutions afford you and the clients you serve. So, you guys are here because longevity leaders are needed right now. According to the study in the Lancet, and this one was done back in 2019, patients have insufficient access to healthcare providers who have been adequately trained in longevity medicine. This longevity system, there's nowhere out there training lifestyle, molecules, regenerative therapies, and technologies. No one. You guys are getting the top notch training that is not actively out there in universities, even in A4M and some of these other places. It's all here for you. Viable longevity education with practical translation will ultimately improve healthcare systems worldwide and decrease disease occurrence. You guys are the leaders. You're tomorrow's leaders as you're learning today. You're part of the solution of truly transforming the trajectory of human evolution, health, and thriving.